Find it?
Here's the letter. Yeah,
You got a date then. And this is today. Yeah.
I'll stand over here. Thanks.
dangerous. 40, 70 mile an hour. My God, just turn around at least. But she didn't fight it bad. She accepted it.
It's down to your chair. Might as well.
You can sit there.
Is this your camera?
Okay, I'm gonna sit fine. I can get you.
Of course.
Oh, okay. So that is today. Oh, yes.
I watched a lot of those, but that's not one on my probably Harrington. Oh, really? I guess now that you say that, eyes, yeah. Oh, get out. That's really cool.
That's probably
What's your day trial? I personally haven't tried it. No?
Yeah, we did.
You ever seen my truck? You got a cool car too.
It needs a lot of work now.
No, they all.
I almost want to take it and have it,
That's 65?
yeah, take it and put modern engine in it.
The rest of mine. You lose your value.
Rest of mine.
Rest of mine. What kind of car?
Those Holden Valley, early 2000s, you get those for 6 to 8 grand. Now they're worth like 20, 25. Still fix or appreciate.
Yeah, sure.
Is it a 289 V8? Okay, it's a 289. Yeah, it's a
The
289.
first one, the
Yeah.
64.5 and 260.
And a 260, correct.
That's the reason why you can tell the difference is on the size of the 260 and 289. 289 is a better engine.
For sure. How long ago did you get it?
Oh, it's my dad.
Family.
That's amazing. Keep it family.
I know, I look different.
Thank you. I'll leave that. I'll leave that.
He's standing there.
Anything else?
SRO. How are you?
But have I been extended?
Much better.
Besides this.
I know. Well.
He said he told you that too. Complaining. Yeah, not having anything.
She said there were students.
Is that in the barn here?
No, that was my warehouse.
Oh, in the warehouse. I think that's, that is
Yeah, that was historical.
Center.
But hang on.
That's pretty cool. Please.
Showtime. Showtime.
We're going to go ahead and call our city council meeting to order. We have 3 council members here that still is a quorum for us. And so I want to welcome you to the Burton City Council meeting. And at this time, we'll go ahead and I'm going to invite you to rise as you are able as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome each of you tonight to the Burton City Council meeting. They are open to the public. I want to remind you that you are guests and observers here in the room. As guests and observers at this meeting, we have set aside time for public comment. When that time comes, your name will be called. You will have no more than 3 minutes to speak, and your time may not be passed or shared with anyone else. After citizen presentations, the council is going to begin its work. If you are disruptive or become disorderly, you will be asked to leave. Thank you, Bradley. Tiffany.
Good evening. We are here once again to discuss signing an agreement with a company that this community clearly does not support. I question if the mayor is allowed to spend $600 to have AOKA create an ordinance that the council rejected twice. What will she be empowered to do once this agreement is in? So I have questions, and I'm talking to the council, so Paul and Ms. Tony and Jeff. How many council members spoke with a community member about this agreement? Raise your hand.
You don't have to respond, Tom.
How many know the limit that the mayor is allowed to spend without your knowledge or approval? How many knew that the mayor spent $600 with AOKA without your knowledge or approval? Did you know that before she spent the $600? No. Are you comfortable with her spending $1,000 without your approval or knowledge. Who knows where this money is coming from when the mayor has the ability to spend $1,000 without your knowledge or approval? How is this affecting our tax dollars? So this is an important one for me, so show of hands. Who is willing to look your neighbors in the eye and your friends in business when they have to face consequences of this ordinance? Because you know, the mayor will throw you under the bus when time comes because the council approved it. So please consider these questions when you're making your decision whether to do an agreement that the community has spoken very clearly that they're not in favor of.
David, side check?
Good evening. So, anyway, every person I talked to about the AOKA or AOKA, wherever it's pronounced, engineering with this, is against the hiring of this company with its exorbitant costs. There is an international residential code and the international building code that builders have to adhere to. Therefore, it would be unnecessary to hire this company for costs for the residents and businesses of Burton.
Gail?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Gail Burton, I live in Burton. I was born in Burton Hospital. Except for Donna.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, I'm against this myself. Why do we need a code of the AOKA or whatever name it is to do exorbitant all these prices? I'm just against it. Thank you. Oh.
Susan?
Mayor, council, and fellow citizens, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here today to encourage the council to pause and reconsider moving forward with hiring AOKA at this time. First, the city currently has no ordinance that authorizes the collection of building permits or related fees. Without that legal framework, we are putting the cart before the horse. Before we outsource enforcement or administration, we need to establish the rules, responsibilities, and expectations that would guide that work. Second, there is no demonstrated demand or urgency that would justify rushing this decision. In 2025, Burton saw 1 new residence built and 1 new commercial structure. That level of activity does not suggest a need for immediate intervention. As I have shared in previous meetings, cities most similar to us in size and character, Carmine, Fayetteville, and Industry, all handle those responsibilities in-house. They do so effectively in a way that maintains local control, consistency, and fairness for their residents. Burton deserves the same thoughtful approach. We need to slow down and allow for our infrastructure and services provided to catch up, and then evaluate the best long-term method for managing permits and inspections. Whatever path we choose should be fair to property owners, respectful of individual rights, and appropriate for a community of our size. I'm asking the council to take more time, gather more information, and make sure the foundation is in place before committing the city to an outside contract. A careful decision now will serve Burton far better in the years ahead. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Lupe?
Yeah.
Oh, you're with them. Oh,
Yeah,
you're with me.
yeah. just
Okay.
Formality,
Thank
sign my
you.
name,
That's
picture me here.
okay. Got it. Lupe. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Alicia?
It takes real confidence to hear the same concerns clearly stated across 3 meetings in 6 weeks and still insist that this path is working. It's not leadership. Workshops have become ego-driven sale pitches capped with a huffy 7-minute review that boils down to, how dare you question my work? Public comments have been turned into sorting exercises and at times seemingly a total break from our council members who have their backs to us. And the most important point keeps getting missed. What you're pursuing creates massive legal risk and clear discrimination in this town. That's curation, not governance. We've now watched a grown adult deploy the bullying tactics of an 8th grade girl, insisting her ordinances are flawless, above feedback, and brilliant, while simultaneously claiming she couldn't possibly know what ordinances we even need without hiring a vendor. If you don't hear the shame in that logic, well, shame on you. Voting for this again is exhausted gaslighting. Now let's talk about the free part, because this is where it gets funny. And if we don't laugh at this HOA-style bullying, this small-town comedy starts to feel like the ethical tragedy it is. We're told AOKA costs nothing, and yet they've logged over 8 hours of public meetings here, shared disingenuous descriptions of their own processes, and received more airtime and respect than most community members do. And I've never met a salesperson who works this hard for free. AOKA says they're not selling, they're just here to help. But helpers don't embed themselves in governance, they don't rely on repetition to wear down resistance, and they don't benefit from rules rewritten to suit their workflow and penalties. Every positive word about AOKA online comes from decision makers and never from the people who live with the consequences. If this model worked for communities, their praise would be evidence. And look, I admire commitment to a good sales pitch, but when a vendor has logged more time with our city council than some residents have logged at the post office starting very important FBI investigations, we should probably admit what's happening. This is not an evaluation, it's been an assumed outcome all along. Driven by the only vendor reviewed when 3 are required. Council, do your duty. But you may not listen, so AOKA, maybe you will. If this room won't hear us, the internet will. Online reviews don't carry blows downtown, they don't need 3-minute permission to speak, and they don't bang on a gavel when someone disagrees. Neighbors, AOKA has many online public review platforms where community perspective could be welcomed. Burton's not anti-progress, but we're also not victims. Tommy and Jeff, thank you for hearing us. And Tommy, I'm happy to come explain exactly how these ordinances impact your neighbors and make sure they have access to attorneys who would help them pro bono. Thanks.
Larry?
Larry Winkleman, I grew up in this town. My wife and I both grew up in this town. My first thing I wanted to do is I apologize. I didn't handle myself like I should have last meeting. Second thing is that I want to say is I want to thank the mayor and the council for the work they're doing. She came in here in her first term and got us our second well. We hadn't had a second well in years. Previous mayors did nothing toward that. So, and it bothers me that we are constantly standing here and coming to these meetings and just cutting them down. You're constantly cutting them down. I've spent 12 years back in the 80s on the city council and 2 years as the mayor. I know that it's a pretty thankless job, but we can't just, Donna and I love this town, and there's a whole lot of people that grew up in this town. We love this town. It's a quiet, nice town. And I see a lot of these faces that I don't recognize. And to come here and to complain about our beautiful town, it bothers me. It really bothers me. So I want to thank the mayor and the council for what you're doing. You may not get any thanks from anybody else, but you're going to get it from me. Thank you.
Ned?
Yeah, thank you. I had planned to lead off thanking council and mayor, actually, Larry, because they do spend a lot of time up here. I appreciate y'all doing that. It is a thankless job and it is unpaid, and you got a room full of people paying attention to you tonight. So there's so many things I wanted to say this evening. I made written comments, but at the end of the story, the issue is this: Burton doesn't need a contractor to oversee a bunch of ordinances we have yet to write. Okay, so we're going to hire somebody to enforce something we don't even have on paper yet, right? That's the subdivision ordinances, or anti-growth ordinances, as I think of them, because they have nothing to do with subdivisions. They actually kill subdivisions. So do we really need that now? I think the answer is no, and I think it's out of time. It's kind of disrespectful for these guys to have to wait until you guys pass something else. So that's just for starters. But then when we get into it, you got to ask yourself, after 150 years, do we need this? Your house was built 130 35 years ago, and it's still there, Paul.
Yeah.
And my house was 1905, and it's still there. We haven't had massive fires. We don't have the kind of Chicago fire risk of dense housing, common wall housing. It's not an issue. We don't have that kind of health and safety problem. So we don't need that kind of inspection. And I think neighbors do a pretty good job of keeping track of construction in this town. Everybody knew the railing house was going up when it started. So do we need this kind of stuff? I think the answer is squarely no. The businesses have spoken clearly, and Kathy's not here tonight, and some others. They weighed in on the letter that I provided you that was prepared by 48 people, okay, signed on to that letter. That speaks volumes about what needs to be done here and what doesn't need to be done. So I would just cite you to the letter. I hope you heard the comments from Alicia, and from Tiffany, and Susan, and others who are going to speak. That this is not something we need, and we have a lot of things we do need, and I hope you guys will focus on those. So thank you. And Angela, by the way, good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Susie?
So I do live within the city of Burton, and I'm against entering into a contract with AOKA Engineering or any other code enforcement advising agency, and this is why. At a June 2024 workshop, Mayor Buck presented a display of Block 43 and talked about standing in front of those homes with our city's water contractor. What would it take to keep this from happening? Asked Mayor Buck. Would a subdivision ordinance do it? In the green. I live on Block 43, and in 1870, our city's founding fathers decreed that my block, as well as most of the other blocks within the center of town, be legally subdivided into 10 plats. Since that fateful workshop, this administration has hired one or more law firms and at least 3 different engineering firms to make sure that myself and other small lot owners be prevented from building on our vacant lots. Intentional or unintentional, the result is the same. I've seen the updated version of the subdivision ordinance, and if I ever wanted to build on my vacant land, I would need to comply with Exhibit A design standards that would make it so expensive that improvement would become unaffordable. In other words, we're only going to see 27 water meters in our lifetime, and that proposed subdivision ordinance would make sure that only wealthy landowners would get those water meters. So long-standing families who have owned land here for generations, the Watsons, Upshaws, Banks, and Gants, would never see their dreams come true of building a home here. Ask yourself, would this pursuit of a subdivision ordinance have ever gotten this far if, at that initial subdivision workshop, Mayor Buck had presented a display of South Burton? I am not a vape shop, I'm not a strip club, I'm not a big data farm. The subdivision ordinance would not be able to prevent any of those businesses because it's a zoning matter. Thousands of dollars have already been spent trying to bully this small lot owner into losing her rights to build. Perhaps that's why we're all paying 13% more in taxes. City Council, I ask that you freeze all spending on any land use ordinances or enforcement until this deliberate attack on small lot owners be stopped. Too much money has already been spent. Please stop the bullying, stop this big government overreach. Don't hire a company to continue fine-tuning an ordinance that is so deeply flawed. Please just stop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you all for sharing, and thank you for being present here tonight. At this point in time, Council, I'm going to invite you to turn to the agenda. First item is minutes from the January 13th meeting. If y'all would look at that and let me know if there's any corrections.
I didn't see.
Okay. The next item is minutes to the workshop, dated January 27th. Next, we'll move to the financial reports. See, for the city of Burton budget, the total income for the month of January was $29,404.32. Total expense for the month was $9,332.71, leaving the city with a surplus of $20,071.61.
We get that every year in February, the amount varies.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one? Water and sewer is the next one. So in the month of January, there was an income of $23,454.41. Expenses of $22,142.09, leaving the city with a surplus of $1,312.32. You'll see the supported documentation behind that. If you look at the transaction by account, what you're seeing on the below the lawn maintenance is actually work that was done on the ETJ water lines to deal with those that we've been having problems with, as well as then repairing 2 lift stations.
Everybody's good with that, right? As far as that.
It's all done and gone. They all have their private wells now. But we still had to cap it and right. But there is a turn-off valve installed. Dustin here. So he also installed a turn-off valve further up the hill so that if it's beyond Randy Lane, right at the ETJ, because we do have houses in the ETJ on the water line that are officially part of the system, and that if there's another leak further up, then he can just turn it off to be able to work up there and not impact everybody all the way down the hill. Any other questions? Okay, you'll see then the mayor's report there. We give some of these highlights in a separate report for Texas Target Communities and the Middle Lift Station. Know that all 3 candidates for county judge have requested a meeting. I've met with each of them as they each have come to the city of Burton and asked general information about the city of Burton, so they can learn more about the city. And so those all 3 were good meetings. I did attend the county workshop on economic development last month, but I also attended one yesterday. And it was the interlocal agreements group meeting. So it was Brenham, Washington County, and then the city of Burton is at the table. And that was very enlightening. Learned a lot about new businesses coming to Brenham, and that was pretty much the focus as you were hearing Brenham and how it impacts the county as well. But lots of new businesses. But what was most interesting was a development update given by somebody with the city of Brenham. On this western edge of Brenham, in the Vintage Farms subdivision there's allowment of 500 units there, so 500 houses in the Vintage Farm subdivision. And then in the next 10 to 12 years, there's another 170 acres that's going to be a new subdivision, and that'll be well over 600 pushing 700 new houses there.
Like
So
moving west.
they are moving west. There's a lot of growth happening on the western edge of town. So there's a lot going on over there. But it was just very interesting to see what growth is going on. So glad to be at the table. They did ask, excuse me, that's your warning. That's your warning, both of you. So, anyway, so it was just interesting to hear about all the growth and how it impacts. There really, some of the businesses coming to Brenham, Frost Bank, Toasted Oak, Bath and Body, Baylor Scott and White is building a new clinic. Valmont is about to quadruple production, and Emerson is at 100 employees and wanting to add more. And they all need a place to live and a place to call home, and it may not be inside the city limits of Brenham. So there's a lot of growth going on in the county. I think Brenham also switched from, they had their business park, and they in the business park, they just made the land available for businesses to come buy land. Brenham has since bought that land back, and now they are very selective about what businesses they are affording to come to Brenham. So that's kind of what's going on in the neighborhood next door. And I have started the process of renewing and updating last year's PIF with the Texas Fire Development Board. So Bradley, you and I have been communicating, but I've also been talking with Paula, and she's got lots of good news, so I'm going to continue to work with her on that. And so just heads up there. We do want to celebrate with Daryl Kiki and Burton Friends and Neighbors, as Daryl Kiki was named Washington County Chamber's Man of the Year. And I'm so excited about that. And I did start the Public Safety Action Plan for Burton Ranger Day on March 21st. So anytime we shut down roads, we need a Public Safety Action Plan. I sent it on to Kevin Duramus on the January 28th. Currently, that's going to go on to somebody else. So I need to follow up with that to make sure that emergency personnel are coordinated and are aware of what's going on in town. And then I did speak with Stephanie Jarvis about events held at the Cotton Gin Pavilions. If they directly impact traffic, Stephanie needs to, or the leaders of those events need to contact Washington County directly to let them know that there is stuff going on down the city streets. Because the last thing we want is an ambulance to leave and turn and go down Main Street and injure people on the way to a call. And so they need to be aware of it, and the fire department too. When they leave and come down the hill, they need to know that they can get through town as well. So those things are important. We'll visit more about Angela later tonight and continue going with that. Medical pod update. This is from Mark Rosenbaum with Washington County EMS. So the medical pod just down the hill towards the EMS station. The concrete is poured, and it has to cure for 11 to 12 days before the clinic delivery. And so I know that'll be happening soon. And then Mailer Electric is going in with utilities. So the clinic delivery will be on the 19th or thereabouts, and then it'll be connected. I also, from Angela, received a letter from our security system company, Security System Monitoring. Crime Prevention Center is the name of it, right, Angela? Out of Sealy, Crime Prevention Services. And they are discontinuing services with us. We're not sure if perhaps it was related to the death of the owner or something. We're just not sure, but the company is no longer in business. So is security system on City Hall something you all want to look at or get bids and look at some numbers and make some decisions? What do you all want to do with that?
Good numbers, good decisions.
Get numbers? Okay. So you want to see numbers to make a decision. So one of the security companies we contacted the last time was Easy Access Technologies. So I'll contact them. They're a local company. Is there another company that you all would recommend, or?
What do you say?
I don't know offhand. Are we talking about alarm for the doors? Are we talking about cameras again, or
No, this is mainly the alarms.
that could sit?
If something were to happen, it's no longer going to be a phone call straight to the sheriff's office from this COPS. That monitoring, because apparently COPS monitoring was monitoring systems for crime prevention services. And I have not been able to get in contact with Don Williams, who is the owner of Crime Prevention Services, who is a fairly aged man. So I'm kind of worried that maybe she might have
That was the problem before.
medical issues or passed away.
We do need security.
Okay, so just perimeter. Camera, no camera? Camera?
I don't know. I mean, I think we need to talk about that. I don't know. We don't really have anything in here. What's in here that people are gonna want to steal other than maybe some computers? I mean,
Guards are gone.
so it's not necessarily security, like if something were hacked, like somebody came in with a gun, you know, like push, you know, have like a
I
pin.
do have the button.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
anymore.
She needs a button push.
Now, that I agree with. That I definitely agree with. But cameras and all that gets super duper expensive.
Right.
We've already talked about that at one time.
Well, we did, but we still need some kind of button to push.
Oh, I agree.
So perimeter and just,
Panic button.
Either that or gotta make sure that Angela has a security permit.
I got that. I'm not gonna be here anymore.
Yeah.
okay. So I'll get a quote from Easy Access, and then we'll try a couple others out of Brenna, Live on it.
Since we can't keep our regular guy, let's look at what alternatives.
What alternatives might there be? Okay. Okay. Angela?
I don't really have one, it's all in the packet.
Okay, thank you.
Easy.
The utility report is included in the packet. Our water loss is at 3.31%.
That's good.
Really
So,
good.
Where we at 2 point something?
Yeah, we got as low as 2. We've been as high as a negative number in the past.
We're getting there, but we're slow.
I don't think, so you're never gonna get to 0.
Never?
I know.
That's a good.
I know it's a goal. I'm never gonna get to 0.
We've done pretty
And
good.
probably the engineer could explain why, but it's just too many.
The Texas folks like what we've done.
I know. So anyway, you'll see the rest of Rachel's report there as well. Don't have anything from Dustin, so that's the end of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Right. So updates, water well number 5, that would be Bradley.
All right, good evening, everybody. The last time I was here was generally around October, I think, for change order number 2. And since that time, the water well project was completed at the end of the year. We, probably well driven by, and the rig has been going for a while, but we've had some piping to do. We've had some chemical injection, chlorination work to do, and we had some electrical work to do, which now is all complete as of the end of the year. We finally were able to coordinate our final walkthrough on Monday last week, on February the 2nd. We tried it in mid-January, but Mother Nature had a little bit different idea at that time. Next time we get together was last week. Overall, everything is functional. We did generate some punch list items, some things that needed to be addressed. Most on the well and civil side were addressed. There's some electrical items that are still not been been, went to the site a while ago and have not been addressed yet. But they will be in short order according to the electrical subcontractor. So then, at least from our perspective, that leaves the closeout documents. We've received paperwork relating to the affidavits that all the well driller subcontractors have been paid. And the other things we're needing to get yet are record drawings, certificate of completion, and final payment, which we have the final payment in hand. We just need to get some other paperwork associated with that. So really close to the paperwork side. As far as when we'll be able to use that well, be sometime in probably the April timeframe, give or take. We've still got to get the TCEQ approvals, and I'm needing some paperwork from the contractor, as well as another item that I missed inadvertently was a sanitary control easement. So I thought some of that land falls out in TxDOT right away. TxDOT's never going to give us a sanitary control easement, but TCEQ still wants us to reach out to the neighboring landowner. So we've done that in January. And the map I did hand out in front of you there, the 11 by 8.5 by 14 there is basically what shows the sanitary control easement. There's street tracks that are affected. TxDOT, City of Burton, and Jarman, Dunbar, excuse me, back to the north. Letters have been sent to Dunbar, and we will get the matter with the city taken care of here at a future meeting. But this is basically part of the paperwork for the well process. So we're down to paperwork, and once we get that approved, we'll have some redundancy, which will hopefully make everybody sleep a little better at night. So.
It will. And so right now, and the well gives us, when that next well opens, it's just 27 meters. What we need are those booster pumps, and that's what we're wrapping into the pit. And it's not just the Fred line, it is those booster pumps and some ground storage, I believe. Is that right?
If we end up doing a new site, yes, ma'am, we would need all
Ground
everything you see
storage.
here.
And for that as well. Okay. So we'll be doing that, and there's another funding opportunity that presents itself as well that we're pursuing, and so we have good hopes for that as well. So,
Any other questions? It's really more or less of an
Pretty
update
good.
here.
Well, regarding the next update, do you know anything of this?
No, ma'am, I do not know. I asked him if he needed me to bring anything over here, and he said no, so
Okay,
best I can tell you. And I guess in closing out, Angela, wish you well.
thank you.
Enjoyed working with you. And I know you've got a good responsibility coming up, and we're grateful for you.
thanks. Thank you, Bradley. Thanks for your drive over. And so the other thing we can update on is Cannittal Lift Station. So we've had that pre-construction meeting with the vendor, and that went well. And after that, then came the contracts. And so those were reviewed by the lawyer and then signed. And so we are good to go there. We have a copy of that contract. And I think it will be a while before they're able to get started because they need to order materials and then begin staging and moving their equipment from East Texas this direction. So it'll probably be 6 to 8 weeks or better before they're able to get started on that project. But it is in motion at this point in time. So anyway. So Texas Target Communities, there's 3 classes of engineering students that I can update you all on. The first one is the biological and agricultural engineering students who have been mapping the wastewater lines and looking at some issues there. They have sent me their 100-page document to look at. And we have a meeting tomorrow. So what they're doing is presenting the project and we'll continue to work on it. Their final is in late April. And so tomorrow, as we visit about what they've produced thus far, and then I'll visit with them about a time to come and visit with you all as stakeholders and see if I can get them to present that project to council in this format, maybe a smaller format, but they do present it on the large scale for a grade, the greater competition. I don't know, all the same. So that's where we are there. The next class is the urban planning class. They were here yesterday. So when did I see you all at workshop and tell you how many students were coming? Yeah, at the workshop. So we only had 4 with the wastewater class. So when I called about this one, we were told 43. And so there were a good number of students here in-house yesterday. They're all divided into teams. They all had eyes on different things. And we took a tour of town, just walking them through different areas of town per the professor's request. So the professor and I, I gave her a map. She has her directions and things that she wants to cover as part of their project. And so we were matching that out. So we walked through town, giving them some history, pointing out businesses that are now Airbnbs, businesses that are now homes, businesses that are now homes that are now Airbnbs, and just the variety of things going on. They went down to the gym pavilions, and Ronnie Stanley and talked to them about the Cotton Gin Museum because they were wanting to know more about the history of town. They got a lot of cotton gin information that day in that time, and a lot of mechanics. And then then we moved on to South Burton, where we spent more time there, where Stephanie was able to answer specific questions. Chris was due to be with the group yesterday. Chris with Long Life Brotherhood. He could not make it. So Stephanie covered, and she was assisted by Bernie. And so they covered Matson Park, the untold history of South Burton. A lot of what they talked about was one area that they're looking at is walking paths and whatnot. So anyway, I've pitched them an idea, and it's a little off the wall, but we'll see what they do with it. And
But none of these are freshmen. They're all seniors.
They're all seniors. All of them are seniors or senior engineering students. A&M is pushing out thousands of engineers, and they all have to have a capstone project. And so this is part of it, and they have to have, they're live. They used to, in talking with Leslie, the county engineer this morning, he says they used to do theoretical projects, and so now he's very excited that A&M is doing real hands-on projects, and so it's been good. The
Good
students,
for us and good for them.
it is. We're all a lab together. So that was urban planning. It was really overwhelming. When we got back here to City Hall, I had to switch gears and met with they're called the Applied Transportation Planning class. And so it was another hour and almost 45 minutes of transportation as we talked about roads and issues. And there's a half dozen of them, and that's a group of seniors and then grad students, one of them being from the country of Spain. And so we looked at a lot of the roads and the issues. I did ask that because they were on the tour with the other group, I did ask that they break off and actually go down to the school district and watch the traffic issues real time. And so they did see those, take those in, knowing what the future holds, we think, with traffic and where they're going to be directed, safety issues, those kinds of things. So they were looking at all of that as well, but it was a good discussion. There's a lot of follow-up homework. And so some of that is reviewing what they're coming up with and answering questions of clarification. Ultimately, they will be bringing their projects back to the city of Burton because this is where they present them. And so the first stakeholder meeting, it's their midterm, a midpoint check, is going to be Wednesday, March 4th. And the time is to be determined. I know it's in the afternoon or evening. And so I've rented on hold. It's tentative, but at the basis, you got it. I just need to make sure on the calendar. But we'll be at the Burton American Legion Hall that evening. And when I get that time, we'll get that published, but I don't have that firmed up. I do know the midterm is Wednesday, March 4th, where they're gonna come back and make their presentations for people to hear and have some interactions with. Their final is Wednesday, April 22nd, and it'll be in the evening. Urban planning class is going to take an hour and a half, and then it's transportation on top of that, and also at the Burton American Legion Hall. So that is all that we're doing there. Can you actually? Can you? If we could just, yeah, if you could just put them on the table so people can pick them up on the way out. So we have a midterm and a final coming from them, and it'll be exciting to hear what they present. A lot of the even the transfer. So both classes kind of cross over, so they can't silo think. They have to communicate with each other. No, they can't. They have to work together because it's all in one community. So there's a group in the urban planning class working on trails, and then the advanced planning transportation class is also working on trails. So they're really looking at both things, and be curious to see what they come up with. But the street planning class is also looking at our streets to see if we're using them to the best of our ability in terms of where because going down Colorado, because that's the back road, right? If you want to kind of cross town and not hit Main Street, you find your way on Colorado and cut through, and you have to do this random stop sign over in front of Larry Winkleman's house, and it just slows you down, right? And so it's, why were they there when they were put there in the 1990s? Is that still a good place for them? So they're just looking at the now traffic flows for now and what is working, what is not. So they're very intentional, very thorough in their questioning, and I was exhausted at the end of the day. But it was really good. It was very exciting, and I think a very exciting time for us as a city to learn more about ourselves and see what the students and their energy bring, because they had a lot of ideas as they were visiting. So it was good.
You couldn't keep up with you down the street though.
No, because they were all lollygagging, and so I was walking with purpose, trying to have them keep up with me. I was herding cats from ahead. So, but it was good. They had a lot of good questions. So that is the update there. We'll go ahead and move into then our items of discussion. Item number 1 is our contract with AOKA Engineering. So we had a good workshop meeting 2 weeks ago as we came to understand more about AOKA and what their scope of services, but what they can assist us with. And if we look at AOKA Engineering as another set of on-call engineers for need services that we need, say if we were looking at fire protection plan review, that we could then contact them when the school plans come to us for the actual engineers to review, because ultimately, again, the city is responsible for those. I think we are. There's no way we can use all the scope of services as we are right now as a city. Our ordinances do need review, and that is something we talked about at the workshop. And if we return back to the minutes of that workshop meeting, it's not using AOKA for existing homes. It's using their building services, their inspections for new builds. So we don't have any ordinances addressing all the other homeowner worries and HOA worries. We're not an HOA, we're a city, and so we do things different. And this is, AOKA only works when we put in that request for them. When we put in that request. And quoting from the minutes, the council's main concern at this time is to have a way to manage new development or subdivision growth, but mainly new development within the city limits to guarantee new homes, businesses, and schools are built to standards that are safe. Now, we have building codes, but there is nobody to ensure that contractors follow those building codes and look over their shoulders. And another scope of work that AOKA offers that we can do is ordinance review, enforcement, and training. But we are at the baby steps for that. And what I have used them for is to review that subdivision ordinance. We are caught in a double bind in terms of that subdivision ordinance, as we know we need a good solid one, but we can't do it on our own. We can use another towns, but it doesn't apply to Burton. We've included things to help us along in that subdivision ordinance, but ultimately, and that is beyond our scope of what we know and understand. And so to ask people to assist us is what we would do, is go to a third party. And that specifically is what we would need help with, is a group of engineers and city planners who have experience to help guide us in how we do that subdivision ordinance. And in terms of that subdivision ordinance, Texas Water Development Board, Texas Rural Water, city attorney, engineers of all walks of life, people from the city of Brenham, people from the county of Washington County who work for the county, all know and understand our struggle and our need to have that subdivision ordinance, and are encouraging us to move forward with that. Even visiting with John Wan with the BVCOG, the Brazos Valley Council of Government, who does economic development. He even, with all of his energy about what he could bring to us, says, I can't help you because we don't have the subdivision ordinance, you don't have planning and zoning, and you have to have one to get to the next to be able then to continue in city development. Even the students yesterday, a professor in the room, they all encouraged and understood the need for one of those for the city and as municipality, but with something we cannot do on our own. And so that is why AOKA and hiring out to a third party to assist us to get us where we need to be. As we continue to grow, there the city can then turn to again a third party on-call engineering services to assist us with those things. I think in the past we had other engineers look at the old ordinance, but they are not specific to subdivision ordinance. So it was a little different. And yeah, so that's where we are. We have part of that history. So we have talked about AOKA. We've tabled it. We've gone to the workshop. 2 weeks ago, when we finished the workshop, people felt very comfortable with things moving forward to bring it back and put it on the table. And council, do y'all have any other questions right now? We do have AOKA here. If you have any other questions.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think Stephanie said it best. Susan, sorry. That looks all live. I mean, I just don't think that we need this contract. It does not solve any of our problems. I think it's only going to create problems. I don't think that, if we had one home built in this all of last year, I just don't see why we would need them. I still don't understand why we need a contract, because you use them without a contract. I think that
I had a separate contract. They had to create a separate contract
right.
for
Well,
me to work with.
That's exactly my point. When we need them, we could use them. I don't like the idea of just having a blanket agreement where then you can just do and pick and choose and do whatever you want to do with that within your limits of the.
There's an ordinance giving the mayor a spending limit of $1,000. And you're on council and that was approved.
I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm saying at this particular moment, I have reservations about that now. I agreed with it then, I don't agree with it now. I mean, unless there was some kind of major water issue or some kind of major safety concern in the town, that of course, I mean, you've done that before, where we have to make this decision today about whatever it was.
Emergency.
So you mentioned to have a third party on-call engineer would cause problems.
I just, you having access to that, I have a reservation, to be honest. I don't think with all this going on in this town, that we need to be, I don't think the mayor needs to worry about whether the school is following their rules other than the fire safety. I don't think the mayor or the city needs to be getting in people's building code business about building a house. I just don't think that's, in a town of 300, that is not what the mayor needs to be worrying about. I don't want the mayor or anyone telling me how to build things.
So for the school, all that we can do and have responsibility for at the school district is the fire safety system.
Yeah.
And they continue to dump plans here because they're required to give them to the fire.
Sure.
They put them here. And we sit on them and go, we don't know what to do with them.
I know that, and then you can use AOKA for that. But at the very first meeting, you were saying you didn't know what was going on there, and they could be doing anything they
So the
want.
clarification is, since then, yeah, they got their own thing going on with their inspections. But we're still, as a city, responsible for the fire system, and that's what I continue to put in front of you. Right, so to have a contract with a third-party engineer where we have access to engineers who can inspect a fire system for the school, because ultimately, if something happens over there, they can hold the city responsible. And we really need to hold in our end of the bargain.
But I don't, there's other firms, I mean, there's other people, there's other ways. What do other cities do? What is Harming, what does other cities use to do that? You know, someone was saying that that's how they handle that. I just don't, it makes no sense to have this contract.
Tommy, do you have any questions?
Well, yes, I do. My husband and I was talking about it, and we were sitting there reading together, and he said some of the same thing, that he didn't agree with no contractor coming telling him about building something. Plus, he got to pay a price for him to come out to tell him how much he charged to in other words, you can't build without AOKA coming out to inspect it, right?
New construction, new construction or something you want to rebuild yourself.
No, you can,
We talked about that at the workshop, that if you want to have to put a water heater in your house, you don't have to pull a permit for that. Your home is your domicile. The only thing you need is if you add on to it, then you have to have inspected and new construction.
but what I'm saying is,
You can remodel your
he don't
kitchen. I
agree
can
with
sell you
the
a kitchen
prices. Every time they come out, it's a price.
Only, no. But do you need to have them out for a price on certain things? Only certain things. As your home, I'm talking about correctly. You don't have to have a permit to change a water heater in your home. Maintenance is okay with you to do yourself. Am I right? Yeah, you're correct. Okay. So the only issue would be new construction. If you added on part of your house, you added on a roof.
But to hold you there, we don't even have that yet.
No, not
So
yet.
we would have to have guidance to even get to that.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I have grandbabies on my place, and if they decide they want to build, then they have to get the okay from them before they.
Well, you want to make sure that it's all to code anyway. don't you?
Well, but that's why you have a builder. That's why you use a reputable builder. They have to, by our code, follow the rules.
County code right now.
Right.
No.
International.
Okay.
Yeah. So they already have to do that.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying is I
You gotta
don't
check
think
to make
they-
sure that it's done right.
Right. That's what the builder's for. You contact with that person. If they do it wrong, then you would have repercussions to go back and say, you built it wrong. You know, I don't think the city of Burton, city council or mayor should be put in a position to take care of any of that. That is not our business.
Then what about other services, fire services or,
Karen,
I am
of
gonna go back
course,
to that.
fire, you're
Okay.
gonna go back to
I
fire
am gonna go
services
back
a
to
bunch of
that.
times, and I agree with you.
Okay.
If that is required by the state or whoever, then absolutely, of course, we need to do that.
So then we would have a third-party engineer group that we would contact and just do that with, because AOKA doesn't work for us until we ask them to
Right,
do
but
that.
then you call and say, hey, guys, I'd like to get a contract with you to do this fire inspection. They're gonna go, absolutely.
So let's check that. Rocky, is that the way that things could be set up? Like we could a la carte call you and call AOKA and say, we have fire service things that we need checked out. Can we set up a separate contract with you all to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's just the response time, right? In order to have to draft that agreement in place.
It does take weeks.
It depends on the price and your authority levels, because it might have to come back to council for approval,
Sure.
right?
Correct.
And if you're only meeting once or twice a month, that could delay that project.
Correct.
Right? And so I just want to be mindful of that.
And so,
Whereas the master service agreement, which again is on an as-needed basis, you can call upon us on demand.
does master service agreement cost anything?
No, ma'am.
So this is just a pre-agreement ahead of time to speed things up too.
So and if somebody comes to you with a fire safety plan, I mean, we just finished at my job, $240 million tower project. It takes months and months and months to, and that, I forgot how many millions of dollars over there. Months. No one's gonna come to you and say, I need this in 2 weeks.
Oh,
That
no.
will never happen.
No, because we've had them for over a year and
Yeah.
they're still sitting there.
Yeah.
So, but if to go into, to have a master services agreement, with the understanding that work done by AOKA would come before council first before it went to AOKA, does that go along?
I don't like the agreement at all.
Not a master services agreement for speed?
No.
Not at all, okay. So,
There's no hurry.
if, to contact, excuse me, no. So if work, to forward work on the subdivision and ordinance, any forward movement there, that would be a separate contract working with them to get that work done.
Sure, just like you already did.
Okay. So instead of master services agreement, then that's what you're looking at, and instead of master services agreement to go item by item, to have them as an engineer on call to go item by item.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, we approved both Bethco and Strand as on-call engineers to use them as needed, to without an agreement, without fees, without this. How is AOKA different from having a third-party engineer on call like that?
You know, Karen, I mean, I think I've exhausted about all I want to talk about at AOKA. I really am. I'd really like to go ahead and make a motion that we reject the contract with the AOKA Engineering Services.
Master services agreement.
Master services, scope of service, right?
And before we do that, AOKA, do y'all want to respond to correct anything that we're probably discussing and missing? Is there something that?
No, ma'am. I mean, honestly, just what we want to do at the end of the day is provide public safety. That's our utmost responsibility in the industry, is to make sure that homes, businesses, schools, places that are going to be occupied are built safely according to the latest building codes that are in place with the ordinances. And so we just want to make sure that that's aligned,
right?
So that at the end of the day, people are occupying buildings that are safe. And so with that in mind, we have master services agreements in place so that you can call upon us for the one of 15 professional services that we provide when needed. So that's really the advantage to having a master service agreement, we have talked about some of the other ways that you can contract with AOKA. One is kind of on demand. The one fallback with that, like I alluded to earlier, is just if you need that service and that service exceeds what your purchasing authority delegates for you, then that would obviously have to go before council, and that could prolong, right, us providing that service. The third way is you going out and doing a long, arduous RFP process, right? That's very common. That's an occurrence where cities go and will get bids. It's a very, again, stringent guidelines in how you go about that process. But that's well within your rights. And then the fourth option would be the contract us directly for plan review and inspection services, because now we are a member of VIBOR. So we're part of the VIBOR co-op. So we've been vetted through those services through VIBOR, which is the largest purchasing co-op in the state of Texas. And so hopefully that kind of answers your questions in terms of how we work with different cities and different scenarios.
Right, okay. Okay, thank you. So is there, I think at this point everybody's had any other questions?
Are you basically saying you're making a motion to remove the sign on the motion?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion to
Remove this item from the agenda.
remove. Is there a second?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna go one by one. There's a first by Jeff, a second by Tommy. Jeff, you voted to remove. Aye. Tommy, is this a yes or a no vote? To remove.
I vote to remove it.
So it's a yes. Paul?
Nay.
Thank you. All right, the next item of business is item number 2. Actually, so I'm going to email you all tomorrow about that fire safety stuff so that we can get that process going, so we can at least take care of something that's at least a year and a half old. Oh, thank you. Item number 2 is an order of election and adopt resolution 2026-0210 RA authorizing election services contract between the city of Burton and Washington County for the May 2nd general election. Angela?
I do have a comment on this. We need to include in the motion being made authorizing changes to the order of election because Carol Jackson of the county has not gotten back to me yet on the polling places. And I have not received the contract yet,
So we don't have a contract, but this needs to be
it's gonna
done.
be probably the same as this year. The order of election has to be done prior to.
Correct.
Before, I think, next week.
Correct. Okay, before next week, but we don't have anything
We
from
are
Carol.
gonna have an election.
We are having an election, but we don't have anything from Carol to solidify all of that. So can you talk us through the paperwork? It's just what
Well,
it is in
it's
back.
the form that the Secretary of State provides.
Okay, and so it's just a matter of signing, and every council
It
person
is
needs
filled
to
out
sign.
exactly except for the amount, the positions up for election. Everything is the same as last year's was, and I just have not been able to confirm that.
Okay. And then once that's passed, then all council members have to sign off on it, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes. Well, not all, but whoever's here.
So, so we'll pick that up then. So we need a motion for this order of election and adopt that resolution for election services with that inclusion of the language to include, to authorize any changes.
Well, because now that we have a whole county election,
Right.
and we're gonna be holding an election with the county, I don't know whether the polling places, like is the early voting location still gonna be the annex? I'm pretty sure it probably
Yeah.
is,
Yep.
but just in case, I want to.
That's fair. So I'll make a motion that we approve the election adoption resolution for the election services based on possible updates.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Item number 3, we're going to set the budget public hearing on the 2026 City of Burton General and Water Sewer budgets. So this is a public hearing we're setting for 5:30 p.m. March 10th at Burton City Hall. And that is before it is voted on. And
It's supposed to be made public prior to that.
it will make it public prior to that.
I'll make it public tomorrow.
Once we get through the workshop.
Changes,
Yeah, okay. And so is there a motion to set the budget public hearing?
I'll make the motion to set the budget hearing.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, next is Resolution 2026-02, 1RB, authorizing the City of Burton to enter into an agreement with the state authorizing the closure of a segment of state highway system in the downtown area of the city for the annual Cotton Gin Festival scheduled for April 18th.
I approve the resolution.
Wait. I have a question. This is a resolution, and then there's a letter that goes with it, so it's a regular.
The letter is needed in the packet that we submit to text document.
Okay, it's just the letter
It's
needed.
just the, yeah, I just included it. I didn't include the whole packet because it would be a waste of paper.
Okay, and the paragraph, and this is the standard letter that we do?
Yeah, this is the standard letter. This is what we send, this is what we've sent every year.
Okay, and it says the city will oversee all traffic within the city limits and outside the festival grounds. That is actually.
Well, we are asking the sheriff's department, and the Cotton Gin is asking the sheriff's department and constables, and usually Stephanie will coordinate that.
Okay. And it's with, you have this ILA with them, so it'll do its thing. The letter was not included last year. I'm like, oh, what's that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, last year I think I included the whole packet, which is about 10, 12 pages. So I just opted this year.
Okay.
This is what needs to be approved, pretty much. Anyway,
For text dots to run through their
tax
system.
stuff.
Thanks. Paul, I interrupted you. Go
Still
ahead.
do it?
Yes, you can still do it. I just had a question before you did that.
Okay. I approve the resolution of, 202602 1RB, authorizing the city of Burton to enter into agreement with the state for the annual Cotton Gin Festival scheduled for the 18th, 2026, April 18th.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. The end of your packet.
I did not.
Oh, you didn't include it because it was in the workshop. It was at the workshop. So you all received a resignation letter from City Secretary Angela Harrington. And Angela, thank you. I know you've retired from here once before and were brought back and then were left alone again in the office. And you have really guided us through some very hairy times. And so thank you. I've learned a lot from you. I appreciate that. I know that for a while there I went to your office and have you translate language for me because I didn't understand government speak. And so I do appreciate everything that you have brought to the job and what you have brought to the city of Burton for the many years that you have served the city. So thank you very much. So I'm going to ask the council to make a motion to receive the resignation of City Secretary Angela Harrington.
Receive your resignation for city council, for secretary. I want you to know what you need to do a great job.
I'll second.
All in favor? Yeah, reluctantly aye. Thank you, Angela.
No ayes here.
So, at this point, I'm going to adjourn the regular meeting, but I do want to share with you all that we are closed on Monday, the 16th, in observance of President's Day. And on the 10th is our next regular scheduled council meeting with a public hearing on the budget at 5:30. Council, we do need to talk about a special called meeting and scheduling one of those to address the easement that Bradley brought up that we need to have you all sign a letter or agree to that. We need a special call for that.
I didn't think so. I mean, he hadn't,
And he was supposed to be on,
has not sent us
but he hasn't sent it either.
he hadn't sent it down.
We'll need to have one anyway as we move forward on the city secretary position as well. So if it needs to be, if it needs to be on there, then we'll do that and we'll make that special call.
Paperwork to be done.
Yeah, the easement thing is a paperwork thing, and I think Bradley apparently did send us a letter, an email at some point in time that got buried.
And I called Mr. Dunbar, and he does not return my car.
Right.
Well, no, I spoke to him, and he said he would, take a look at his email and get it signed and send it to me, we did not receive it yet.
So do we need a
And
vote?
Rachel just made a couple of phone calls.
And still haven't received it. So do we need to have, do we need to have that, the council approve and receive that
I don't
letter?
think so. I don't
Just
think
the
so.
letter
No,
and then we
that's
move
just something
move forward?
we really need. It's not, but maybe a few feet in addition to what he's already got. So
Right.
if he's got a problem with it, I wish he'd call us and let us know.
But for the council letter, for our agreement,
You're talking about our tiny little
our
section.
tiny little section of that
I don't
utility.
think so, because
Okay.
he owned the property in John.
Oh,
Okay.
that makes sense.
So, I don't think the city itself needs an easement.
Of course, because, of course.
Yeah.
So we'll double check all that as soon as we get Dunbar and whatnot with that, but we will need another special call to follow up with, city secretary stuff. So, anyway, I think that's, so just to let you all know that City Hall is closed. There is a regular scheduled council meeting March 10th with a public, hearing on the budget. It's tentative special call council meeting will exist as well. I'm not sure that it will be open to the public or an executive session because it has to do with hiring. But anyway, we'll get all that out to you when that is ready and possible. Anyway, we'll go ahead and adjourn the regular meeting. And we're going to have council take maybe 5 minutes and move into